Goal setting is so much a key to success that it's cliche. We all know it, but most of us don't do it. First, we want you to know that this is not just another lame goal-setting program. It gives you everything you need to set achievable goals and achieve your breakthrough. Second, regardless of how cliche it is, goal setting is vital if you want any chance of fulfilling your dreams with your career or your personal life. Most people only consider their goals once a year around New Year's Eve. And according to a study published by the University of Scranton, people who don't set goals are missing out because people who explicitly make resolutions are 10 times more likely to attain their goals than people who don't explicitly set them. 10 times more likely. Those are some good odds. However, your odds could be much, much greater. What if you could learn what those who succeed at their goals actually do differently than everybody else? And then you could do that. Well, you can. In over a decade of studying human potential and psychology, coaching and training individuals and team members, and running our own business, we've learned why most people and their businesses fail at achieving their goals. The truth is that most people don't have the mindset for success. They don't have goals and they don't make a plan. And when they do, they don't use an effective strategy for succeeding with their plan.
We will provide you the blueprint we use to surpass our goals year after year. Whether you want to implement this proven strategy for yourself, your team, or your organization, you'll be able to identify specific, achievable goals that inspire you. You'll be able to write a detailed, actionable short and long-term plan. You'll be able to check in, reprioritize monthly and weekly. You'll know exactly what steps to take right now. You'll also avoid common roadblocks and easily navigate changing priorities. You'll also remain motivated and empowered along your journey to success.
I'm going to go over identifying long-term goals. Achieving any life goal requires knowing 3 things, which we refer to as the 3 Ds. In order to know these 3 things, you must ask 3 questions. First, desire. What do you really want? Then drive. Why do you want it? And lastly, do. What do you need to do? So step 1 is brainstorming. Write down everything you can think of, big or small, that you would like to change, achieve, or do. For the sake of illustration, we'll be focusing on long-term goals that are within a year. Your goals can be nearer or farther, but a year is a good time frame to work with when discussing the activities in this program. If you have a goal that will take longer than a year, identify what part of it you can do in 1 year and write it down. Your goals can be personal, work-related, or both. Step 2 is to simplify. Look at your list and group items that are similar or that can be combined into one larger goal. And then step 3 is to prioritize. Look at your simplified goals and circle the ones that you are feeling that are the highest priority in your life and in your job. Then rate each on a scale of 1 to 3, 1 being the highest priority and 3 being the least. Step 4 is to identify 1 or 2 major goals for this year. Looking at your priorities, identify the 1 or 2 goals that will make the biggest impact on your life or business and help you create that breakthrough, and will take about a year to implement. We say this because you cannot be picking something that you could just bang out in 3 days or a month. We're looking for long-term goals. Write down your major goals where you can see them to keep you inspired, and you're going to want to be able to refer back to them while continuing to work your way through this goal-setting program.
So now I want to talk about creating your vision. And this is actually one of the most powerful things that you can do, and a lot of people take for granted. Why? Because if you look at it from a psychological perspective, the way that your mind works is that there's an area called the reticular activating system. And this part of your brain is actually very goal-orientated. So you give it a command. It could be something like, for example, you forgot the name of a song, a name of a person, and you're taking a shower 3 hours later or that night after it happened in the morning, and you forgot that name. but all of a sudden it came back to you. Why? Because your unconscious mind was looking for it because you had given it a command. You see, what happens is that your mind is actually a tool that when you tell it something, it looks to create that. So that's the power of creating a vision, because if you create a vision, your brain will look for ways to create that. See, you have millions of bits of information constantly coming at you, and your brain can only focus on a small percentage of that. And it only focuses on the percentage of things that it thinks that you want it to focus on. So what you're going to be doing is developing a vision for your next 12 months. And this should help you clarify your desires and your drives. And you want to write it down. And you want to see what it looks like and what it really feels like. And the letter should be written to you. It should be written in a way that you're going to read in 12 months so that you can reflect on it and see what you achieved, so you can understand the power of your RAS in your mind. And when you're doing this, you're going to be following a 4P formula for doing this, of creating an effective vision. And the first one is present tense. And that means you want to write it as if it's actually happened. You might say, why do I want to write it as if it's actually happening? It's because your mind will look at it and say, well, if this is supposed to be happening, that means I have to create it, and it will look for ways to create it. So if you want something a year from now, that you have this great promotion and that you maybe went to school, or that you bought something, or that you traveled, that you do whatever, and say it as if you actually did it, then your mind will look for ways to create that. The other part is making it personal. So that's using I statements and we statements. I am doing this, we are doing this, because again, your mind personalizes and saying, I'm supposed to be doing this. The next one is positive, using positive language. And part of that positive language is saying, for example, if you want to stop smoking, you're not going to say, I'm no longer a smoker. You're going to say, I am living a healthy lifestyle, and so on and so on and so on. You get what I'm saying? Instead of saying, well, my vision is to be 10 pounds less or 20 pounds less. That might have a negative connotation. So instead, the positive language might be, my body's healthy. I am in a great state physically, where I feel confident, and so on and so on. Again, keep it positive. The other P is passion. So you want to have something that you're very, very passionate about. Because again, that passion is going to drive you. Something that you get excited. When you read back your vision, the letter that you created, you must get emotional. That's how excited you have to be, because it has to be your passion. And if you're not passionate about it, then you need to rewrite your vision of what you're creating. Another tip that I want to give you is that you can use visual aids. Because again, if your mind can see it, then your mind finds ways to create it. And I have vision boards over the house. We have multiple businesses. Even when I went to school, I had pictures of people graduating with a diploma. Even when I worked for organizations and I had dreams of being in certain positions, I did that. I would put myself in a vision board and create that imaging. And really, the point of it is that you want to have a reference for what you want it to look like, what you want it to feel like. And the more you have that, the more real it is to your brain, and the more your brain will create that. And again, this is no wishy-washy possible thing. This is psychology, basic psychology of how your mind works. You have a part of your brain that will look to create what you want it to create. It will look to find the things you tell it to find. So by using the 4P formula, you create your vision and your brain will look to create it. So what you're going to be doing now is to use that formula, and again, write this letter to yourself from a year from now for where you want to be, and write it as if it were already happening and that you're already celebrating the fact that you achieved it. And you'll be surprised where you'll be a year from now.
So now that you've identified where you want to be in a year, you can chart a course to get from here to there. The next step is to break down each major goal into smaller sub-goals. This is called chunking. Think of your goals as the big picture, and your sub-goals or your milestones as the bite-sized achievements that make your goal approachable and keep you motivated. Identifying your monthly sub-goals helps you very clearly see the path to accomplishing your 1 or 2 major goals for the year. The idea here is to consider where you want to be in 12 months. Start thinking about where you would need to be in about 9 months to be on track. And then where would you need to be in 6 months to be on the way to that 9-month milestone? And what about 3 months from now? What would you have to have accomplished at that point to be on track to your other goals? Of course, you don't need to know exactly how and when everything is going to unfold. You're making your best guess here. The key to planning is to make a plan while remembering that your plan is going to end up changing. And so now it's time to set all of your monthly milestones. What are these milestones or sub-goals that you need to accomplish in order to reach your year goal? If you're not sure, here are the steps that will help you identify them. First, brainstorm. For each of your major goals that are focused on about a year's time, make a list of all of the sub-goals that you can think of. List everything you're going to need to do. You can look at the brainstorming you did before and look for anything that you have to accomplish in order to reach that goal. Then again, you're going to group smaller tasks into major milestones, and these are going to become your sub-goals. And then third, you're going to order them, and this is important. You need to put them in order, meaning ask yourself, what has to be completed first before other milestones can be worked on? And then lastly, you're going to chart them onto a 12-month plan. So of course, it's not going to be exact, but knowing how all of these smaller goals are stepping stones to your bigger goal helps you see the path and know what to do next. You may have more than one milestone per month, but the goal is to make sure that these are broad topics. When you break your major goal down this way, you can see the natural progression of your goal and exactly what needs to be done each month. When you break down the goal, it seems more manageable. It also helps create excitement because when you can see the roadmap, then you can truly visualize getting to the end and experiencing the successful result that you're after. And at the same time, looking at all these goals can feel overwhelming. But there's good news, because you only have to focus now on what's next. You no longer are going to be looking at the whole process. That part is done. So just like traveling across the country, you cannot take all the turns at once. They come to you one at a time. So next, you're going to be focusing on just the next 2 months of milestones and breaking down your goals and your tasks even further. And then you can put this list away, and you're only going to refer to it later in the year when you come back to create new monthly plans based on those milestones that you've created.